about his opponent today. But Daniil is a very switched-on young man, Daniil. And I think, Petch, if there's someone you'd like to have problem solve, Daniil would be the guy.
Yeah, he's also somebody that, of course, knows Novak particularly well. So I'm sure that he would have probably tapped into Novak's hit, went over to Phuket in Thailand. I think it was the Amanpuri hotel resort over there on the island that it ended up being where they practiced. Kasidit being contacted by Paradorn Trishapan. Paradorn actually has an academy in that part of the world, but I don't believe it was at his academy that they actually practiced at. It was at the resort, and got in touch, and so that was obviously lovely for him. It may not be that Daniil doesn't know anything, because I'm sure if his coach would have reached out and tried to find something out about him. Gilles Simon on the left of your picture there, of course, looking after Daniil.
So you can see there, it's a magnificent day, 27 degrees Celsius, very sunny, very light breeze. And again, plenty of spectators meandering around outside, and plenty here on Rod Laver Arena, though. We just had a long three-setter in the women's singles prior to this, and several have left to stretch their legs, grab a coffee or the like, and we'll gradually wander back in, I'm sure.
On peut demander les ball kills pour la serviette ou pas?
Ranked 5th in the world at the moment, Daniil Medvedev, 22 career titles.
Kasidit Samrej to serve.
He's looking to see if he can get one more Grand Slam here, and his journey begins right now.
Squares up a little bit on his serve if you keep a sort of eye on him. I'm not sure that it's as good a motion as possibly it could be. But he's not bad off the ground, Jeff. Moves pretty well for a big guy at 6'3", digs himself out of the corners on the forehand. Problem is that he's going to play an awful lot of those types of points, and how often can he come out on top is the question, and how quickly does Daniil settle. Interesting that Medvedev already a little closer to the baseline. We saw obviously the significant shift last year in terms of the final against Sinner from his normal habitat right back in the shadows from the end that he's at.
Need to be mindful of those drop shot attempts. Medvedev, for a big man, is very quick, long strides. 6'6", 198 centimeters. So an early hold here would give him a nice little confidence boost.
Samrej feeling as though that ball maybe was just going to catch the tape and go in, but it skimmed over and flew past him. You see, it's more of a slice serve as well, because he squares up with that back foot alongside the left one a little bit too much. It tends to be a more slider than a kick. And because of that, it's going to curl into Daniil's backhand on that ad side as well, and not take Medvedev further outside the singles and potentially doubles court and create a bit of space for his +1 shot afterwards. It's going to kind of bring Daniil back towards the center a little bit.
Well, Daniil just asking the question here of Samrej, giving him no free points. So an early opportunity here for Medvedev. A little pressure being felt there, and the opening game and a break going away of Medvedev. Yeah, not a lot of spin on that second serve. It was more of a side spinner, as you mentioned, and that's prone to a little long. Can't get any overspin on the ball, particularly when you're tense. And there'd be some certainly be some real tension out there from this young man from Thailand. Says he wants to be the person who brings tennis back to Thailand. His dad was a regular and stalwart of the Thai Davis Cup team for many years.
Srishapan, of course, a former top tenor. Both Srishapan's brother play, but they played a lot of money tournaments. He was the first one really Paradorn out of that family that was allowed to travel, and it was big news back there. He was certainly, and he certainly cashed in on that, rightly so, in terms of the academy he has in up in Bangkok and down there in Phuket, and yeah, big part of that tennis landscape still. Some nice aggressive tennis early on here from Daniil. A little court position change. I wonder how hard they've both been working on it. Gilles Savara at the back there writing notes as ever.
It's been a long-time relationship now, isn't it? This is such an occasion for this young man. First tour event, first Grand Slam, Rod Laver Arena against one of the world's best hardcourt players. Generating some good pace, Mark, from the back of the court.
13-15.
As ever, Medvedev looking to absorb it all.
Dad back left.
Aggressive mood here at the moment. Medvedev looking for an opportunity to come forward.
Just a bit late with that volley, perhaps. Worked out nicely with the sort of short punch on it, but he probably going forward would like to meet it a little bit further out in front of the body. To kind of turn your head to look at the strings there, and you lose sight of the court down the other end if you hit it that late.
Good body serve.
Medvedev.
And he looks like he's ready to really give a display here.
Medvedev leads 2 games to 11.
Of course, had the shoulder problems last year, Daniil, and that contributed to a loss of pace, loss of service games won, and hopeful as he starts a new season that he's back to full health. We'll keep an eye on some of the numbers for you as he weaves his way through this tournament.
Yes, we have the electronic line calling here, no lines people, and even when the foot faults are being called, it is actually being monitored by someone who's watching the line. That's being done on a screen. You mentioned before, Mark, he watches the ball well, even on the volley. And here's one of the great ball watchers. His head's very still at impact. Even though he swings maybe a little unorthodox, the basics are so very good. And, of course, keeping your head still at impact is one of the major basics that not everybody follows. Excellent second serve from the man from Thailand.
Yeah, Daniil up on the baseline. That allows the opponent to take a little bit more risk trying to rush him. If he goes back deep, you don't get a huge amount of upside by taking that kind of risk. Going to find it very difficult with that service motion to get a lot of good serves out wide on the ad. And if you're 6'3", you want to be able to hit all 4 corners of the service box as effectively as you can. A couple of top 300 wins in the course of his career. Highest ranked player he's ever beaten, Coleman Wong, who was 157 in the world in Seoul at the back end of last year in October.
Good depth on that forehand, so he's on the board, and this large crowd here giving him plenty of accolades for that.
Medvedev leads 2 games to 1.
Bit of a settler, get on the board.
Yeah, I mean, obviously important. This is a nerve-wracking occasion. You can always say that there's nothing to lose, but there is always something to lose, and particularly your pride and at times your self-esteem in these big occasions out here with a crowd of this magnitude that he's never played in front of before. He would have played a few Davis Cup ties, but you know, first major, hasn't played any tour level events, so this is a huge deal for him. And arguably you can say, Jeff, as well, one of the worst people to play in Daniil, because he isn't going to give you very much. I mean, he looks like he's trying to be a little more proactive in this match at the start, but obviously he has the ability in his DNA just to drop deep and knock loads of balls back into play. So getting your first game on the board is a huge thing for him.
Time.
Chair umpire Damien Denissois from France, experienced chair umpire. First round of the men's singles, day 3.
Lovely.
Capable of getting a lot of free points off that first serve.
Yeah, it's already looking a little bit better than last season, to be honest. So that's a good sign if you're a Medvedev fan. You've been talking, Jeff, of course, about just how good he is on this surface, and there is confirmation of it since the start of the 2020 season. Daniil Medvedev, the only player to have claimed 100+ wins on a hard court at Grand Slams or Masters 1000, the elite levels below the majors. That's how good he is. And back in 2023, he became just the 3rd player in the Open era to reach 7 ATP events on hard court in 3 consecutive seasons. He's jokingly said that he is a hard court specialist. He obviously has been successful on clay, won the Rome Masters 1000, so he can play on that surface, but this is his favourite habitat.
Game.
202 k's an hour down the centre.
Medvedev leads 3.
Tall man, 6 feet 698 centimetres, so using all of his heights, an easy motion, a very easy motion. Got a loose, languid arm as well, and looks as if it just comes naturally.
Yeah, and I talked about the problems that he was having with his shoulder last year, and as you can see already, he's got an extra 14 Ks on average on that first serve. That is a big number for Daniil.
Lovely.
Last season, won just 80% of his service games, did Medvedev, compared to the season before, a normal season for him, where he won 85.
Pretty good heat as well, 198 into the corner. Yeah, Mike, you spoke about his serve. I mean, last year he finished number 54 on the serve leaderboard, so it'll indicate to you just how much of a struggle it was really for him 2024. Nice work from Kasidit.
14-10.
Yeah, lovely use of the slice. He kept the ball on the strings for a long time on all of those, didn't he? That was a beautiful one as well, crafted down the line. Daniil's backhand so flat that it comes through so low that you do need to try and use the slice. He's defended it well. Daniil struggled to get on top of it there, and you can just see how that skipped through around knee height to Medvedev.
And you mentioned quite rightly how flat he hits the ball, but he's so consistent. I mean, it's again comes back to the basics. He gets into position well. His head's nice and still. He's very patient. He works for what he wants. Got that backhand volley in front.
Use. Advantage, Samrej.
Crowd already enjoying what this young man, Kasidit Samrej, is bringing to the table. Some aggressive ground strokes. Right on the limit, I'd suggest. Keeping the ball in play. Well done.
Samrej. Medvedev
Just down the one break, 3-2 Medvedev.
Désolé, c'est arrière droite aussi. C'est arrière droite.
Might be interesting, Mark, to see what sort of relationship Daniil develops with the crowd here today. It's always been something he enjoys, I think, from the early days when he was a bit of a pariah in New York and was struggling with them. He says it was they almost hated me, but by the end of it, there was sort of some love. So likes to engage. He's a very clever man.
Yeah, he doesn't suffer fools gladly, and he worked that New York crowd beautifully, and by the end he had earned their respect, and that's what Medvedev's done for everybody that followed his career. He is a unique player, and it was always going to take a different type of prototype of player to break the monopoly that the Big Four had, and Daniil was that design.
It's been a pretty good 5 games from Kasidit Samrej. Lost his opening serve, unsurprisingly. Since then, he's more than held his own with Mr. Medvedev. It's a matter of how long he can continue this level. It's one of the differences between those who play on the Challenger circuit and those that play the regular ATP Tour. You've got to be able to back it up point after point, game after game, and match after match. It's a big ask. That's how you rise to the top of the rankings. Medvedev, 3-2.
Touch 11.
Finished his year, Medvedev, basically at the Nitto ATP finals in November, defeated de Minaur there and then lost to Fritz and Sinner along the way. So a nice break after that, waiting for the birth of his second child and second daughter.
40-15.
A little bit of an aberration. Looked like he was trying for a heavy kicker, which is not really part of his DNA, or else the toss just got away from him. Not sure.
It's going to be close here on the time. 5. He's got a quick motion once he pulls back the trigger.
And that backhand is ever Mr. Reliable.
Medvedev leads 4 games to 2.
And then we've got Samrej, the third player in the Open era to appear in a main draw match at a slam. Shishapan and Udumchok. Shishapan, of course, a 4th round appearance at the Australian Open himself. Daniil doing Daniil things there. Lovely little dig out of the corner. And again, nice soft pace back, so it gave him a chance to recover.
Yeah, they're really great players. Are good offensively, but equally adept defensively.
Let first service. Let first service.
That's what he'll do to you.
Yeah, he'll just keep you making you play one more ball.
And whereas a lack of pace at times, Jeff, in men's tennis can really sort of hurt you, I think for Daniil, you know, when it comes through so low and you've got nothing to work with, it does make it even more problematic. Not only is it an uncomfortable height for you, but you've then got to generate pace.
Medvedev was looking for an out call on the previous forehand. Nothing came, so needed to play on. When I say call, it's coming from the electronic line calling system. So in trouble here, Samrej. Double break, perhaps. A really nice deep return. And Medvedev 5-2, first set.
Medvedev leads 5 games to 2.
Jeff, we've sort of touched on it already. It's pretty obvious to those of you that have followed Medvedev's career that he is doing something a little bit different here. He has got the ability to play closer to line. We saw it in the final against Sinner last year, but this is what he did on average in 2024. And this is what he's doing today. He has shifted his court position dramatically closer to the baseline. Whether that is an early round thing, but I would imagine that alongside Gilles Savard and Gilles Simon, this is something that he's going to try and work on, trying to be a little bit more proactive. Obviously, what he likes to do is return from deep and keep moving forward. What it does mean when he moves up there is that little movement back to the Melbourne sign. So it's a whole different kind of flow after the return. Normally he's so deep, he kind of hits his next shot closer to the Melbourne sign, then in front of the Melbourne sign. So it does look as though he is trying to keep himself a little bit more up the court. was just taking a look, Jeff. We're obviously just digging into Medvedev for the first time this season. We've seen pretty much all the other protagonists prior to the Australian Open, just a couple of course like Jannik and Carlos, but they were even part of the AO week leading him here, which has been such a huge success. His average pace in 2023, a normal season for him on serve, was 195. So interesting to see that for a large part of this opening set he's been able to drop the hammer down at plus 200. So actually an improvement, not even going back to what it was in 2023. It's got a little bit better for the time being.
It's such a languid motion. He's always looked as if he can serve with good pace for long periods of time. Hasn't lost a point yet when his first serve goes in, Medvedev. Only finding the mark 60% of the time, which is acceptable. But when they go in, they're very effective. Winning only 50% of the points on second serve. There's a big serve, 203 down the center. Hard to read. He uses the same toss for the flat one and the one that he slides wide.
And first set.
He's been a late arrival here in Melbourne, but it looks as if he'd like to be an early finisher, at least in this set. 6-2. Well, I think he'd be well pleased with that mark, given, as you've mentioned, he hasn't been here to get a feel of conditions or just get a handle on the speed of the court. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, okay, it's a nice draw in terms of the quality of opponents that Samrej has beaten coming in here, but it's still first round. It's still trying to get your groove. It obviously was, on one hand, super exciting to have his second daughter, but it's also something that he would love to do, is to win this tournament and to come out here and kind of post the numbers that he has. Look at that, didn't drop a point behind his first serve. 10 winners, and I do like the way that he's come out here. It would have been easy, you would have thought, with a few early round nerves, not knowing the opponent particularly well, to have dropped back into the kind of the habit that has made him so super successful on this court, and he hasn't. He's come out here and he's put his front foot forward. He has certainly made himself much more of a force to be reckoned with, and that comes with an element of risk. There's no question that that does, but he's looked good. He can always dip back into a deeper position if he had needed to, but so far so good. Love the fact that the shoulder looks healed. It's exciting times for us. If you love this game, you love Daniil.
Good to see Medvedev here playing at a level that we've come to expect. Certainly here in Australia, 3 times a finalist here, and a couple of them were, well, it seemed as if he had the matches won. 2 sets to love last year against Sinner. 2 sets and a break against Nadal a couple of years prior to that. He'll be looking for success here for sure in 2025. Second set.
love.
Well, that's the result of standing in a little closer, as Mark has mentioned. You take time away for your opponent, and certainly Samrej there was hurried. Perhaps as he's getting older, he wants to shorten the points a little bit more, Mark. Cover a little less territory. Even the first set, we noticed he'd covered a little more territory than his opponent. Nice, so down the line backhand, so effective if he can make it.
14-15.
Yeah, that was picture perfect. Lovely balance on the front foot, and just had the option as well when you take it that high to take it cross court aggressively all down the line. I mean, I'm not sure it's necessarily that Daniil wants to not have to run so much, but the data that's been generated, Jeff, in his matches against some of these players in recent times would suggest that he doesn't win that way. It's almost an absence of alternatives that he's going to have to play a slightly more aggressive style.
Nice volley, and in Australia, the crowd loves an underdog, so they're giving this young man plenty of support. Opening game, set number 2.
Kain, Samrej. First game, second set.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think we've also got to recognise, as we look at this last point again, the quality of the volley, that perhaps last year, I mean, to win a Grand Slam, you'll win a lot of matches. And if you're struggling or have had long matches in the second, third, fourth rounds, it takes its toll. Like last year, for example, had to play Sinner in the final. He knew he was fatigued, which is why he played as he did. He went very aggressive in the first 2 sets, got them won, and then couldn't continue. So perhaps that's part of the longer term thinking as well, not to have long matches where you get through, but it just takes a toll as the tournament progresses. So much to think about on tour, particularly these Grand Slams, to win them. There's a lot going on.
8-11.
Well, it was the most sets, wasn't it, ever, by any player to make the final of the Australian Open last year.
30-11.
Yeah, he did it the hard way, no doubt about that. One area that he's always been good at is what we call the pressure points. And if you look at the ATP leaderboard again, the under pressure leader, he's number 2, even last year, number 2. So he's very good at break points converted, break points against him being held, tiebreakers won, defending sets won. All those they're regarded as pressure points and pressure scenarios, Medvedev does very well.
Game Medvedev.
They're the sort of shots at this level you just can't afford to make. It was a neutral ball, short on the forehand side.
1 game on.
Yeah, I'm sure both Gilles have sort of talked to him about that. Of course, last year he played 31 sets before finally succumbing to Sinner in that championship match, but it got off to a slow start against the qualifier. Terence Altman from France lost the opening set there. Actually got a bit fortunate because the Frenchman having to pull out at 1-love in the 4th. So he didn't play the entirety of that match, but then a 5-setter against the Ruusuvuori. Quick one against Auger-Aliassime. Borges dropped another set. 5-setter against Hurkacz. And 5 against Zverev before the final.
Yeah, 7-5 set matches. Best of 5 set matches to win. Always a good serve against tall men or women. They've got good reach, big levers. Serve at the body. Very effectively done there.
And that's the one serve, Jeff, that's going to come a little more frequently at Medvedev when he's standing a little closer to the baseline.
Oh, come on, Medvedev. He never quits.
And he loved that too, didn't he? Look at the little smile on his face. Look at the coast-to-coast covering here. So special.
Even the chair enjoyed that. Oh, well done. Something out of the ordinary, something out of the box. 2-1. Second set, Samrej. He's bringing a little variety, and he's got some good technique off the ground, so he's got, you know, some improvement there that's available.
Yeah, he's definitely not the finished article. When you look at the way that he plays, what has he turned? 24, I believe, in about 6 days. So he's certainly going to be moving through into his prime in that regard. And obviously the kind of experiences he's getting now with practicing with Novak, the advice that Novak gave to him on his serve, the experience that he's going to take away from today's match that he can take back to the futures. Look, it's not going to be easy for him. He's clearly not one of those players that's taken the elevator to the top 100, to the ATP Tour, but he is somebody that you feel has got the ability to walk the stairs to get there.
Players enjoying the sit down and the shade that it provides. It's warm, but pleasantly so, except if you're running around all over the court, I guess, like these guys are. So it's very pleasant for everybody else.
Not everyone has our job, Jeff.
No, that's
Just
true.
don't tell them.
No, they may want it. Very fortunate to be here at this fabulous Grand Slam, the first one of the year, and what a facility it is. It just keeps improving, and there's always plans afoot to improve it and make even more improvements. Quite amazing. So 1-2.
Finland.
Gets a little hurried on that forehand sometimes. Preparation just could be a little bit better, perhaps.
I almost feel as though he's got to kind of work the point a little bit more with a bit more height to try and gain a little bit of territory. That may mean that he needs to drop back a little bit to be able to do that, to give himself the space to hit the higher shot.
Oh. 30-15.
Just such a difficult ball to defend against when he takes the backhand on the three-quarter length and dissects the sideline because of the fact that it stays so low. You've got to get down, live with that ball, and find a way to be pretty aggressive out of the corner.
Game, Medvedev.
Perfectly placed down the center, quick, adds to the ace total. It sets at 5.
And a perfect 14 out of 14 when he's made a first serve as well, Medvedev. If there was one thing I'd like to see him do a little bit more of, I know he prefers his backhand, it's not to do that. I know once he's up on the baseline, he has a little less time to see it, but I'd like to see him sort of drift to the left, hit that as his forehand, and take himself back to the middle. Samrej with some nice touch again. I just feel as though he outmaneuvers himself, and against the likes of Alcaraz and Sinner in particular, who have such a big fast ball as their +1 after their serve, he's going to be doing a lot more of that from the deuce side if he takes that sort of backhand moving to his right. So that's another little area that he could hopefully sort of work on.
$13-15. 14.
Timely first serve. Medvedev has been looking to make a move in this game, and he's being thwarted at the moment.
Fault. That's it. Yes.
Maybe annoyed with himself there. Medvedev did so well with the return. Full stretch, got it back deep. Djokovic-like. Nicely done. Going very well in this second set. Samrej, 3-2. Not making any headway though, is he at the moment, Samrej, on the Medvedev serve. He's been doing well on his own delivery. Anything that you can see that he might do to change that?
Well, I think he's got to go back. I do. I just think he's got to go back. He's got to try and make a few more balls. He's got to treat it as a little bit more like a ground stroke. Standing where he is not getting any purchase at all. He is literally relying on the fact that Daniil's going to play badly in a service game, and you never really want to be in that situation as a player. So I think, from my perspective, going forward even earlier isn't going to help him at all. He's definitely not getting a good enough hit on the return to trouble Medvedev on the +1 shot. So his only realistic sort of choice now is to go deep and try and play with a little bit more height and get himself a little bit more of a base to sort of get into a rally on a neutral basis, because he's doing not a bad job on serve in that regard.
This is a look back towards the central business districts of Melbourne. You can see it's within a kilometre of the sporting precinct, which includes, of course, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, Melbourne Park. And it's one of the many pluses that this tournament has. One of the major pluses is that you can access this facility. If you stay in the city, you can access it so quickly. The tram stops at the door. The players love it because this is their workplace, so they can access their workplace so quickly and so conveniently. And popularity of this event from spectators continues to grow.
And there's a good example of why I feel like he's got to go back here, Samrej, because he's late to that. It's a good delivery. It's 200 kilometers out. I'm looking at the 100% number for Medvedev as he continues to clock 15 out of 15 when he's made a first serve. He's getting no purchase on this return. Second serve, different animal. Still feel the fact that Daniil's not far off winning 70% of his second serve points would suggest that he needs to do something different, but he got hold of that one.
That will do very nicely, thank you.
First point against the first serve, and how unique was that? Beautiful use of the slice, particularly on the forehand side, keeping the ball low. And that is some lovely feel.
Yeah, some nice adaptability from the Thai. Well,
18-40.
first breakpoint opportunities of the match so far for Samrej. First serve of quality, again creating challenges for Samrej to get anything other than defense. No, that's the way to save it. A wide 210km/h serve. Outstanding.
Advantage, Medvedev. Game, Medvedev.
Mentioned a little earlier, he's very, very good on these pressure points. Medvedev, a couple of break points he needed to face. The first serves were found, and he extricates himself. So 3-all.
Love team. 15.
A couple of unforced errors now creeping into Samrej's game. Shot that was certainly a little risky. Medvedev commits far too early to this line shot.
Yeah, that is crucial, isn't it? I mean, I know he was probably second best at that point, defending the net, but had he stayed in the right place, could have just put a bit of polyester on the ball and it would have dropped over.
Absolutely.
14. That's it.
Well, he would have hoped to have made some inroads, or greater inroads into the Samrej serve by now in this set. Not able to do so yet.
Use.
Well done, got that volley just short enough.
Advantage, Samrej.
Oh, change of mind there, I think.
Yes.
I think initially he was looking for a little slice drop shot and left his final decision a little bit too long. One of the longer games we've had.
Advantage, Samrej. Yes.
Just winning 23% of points when the second serve's required. Samrej. So more first serves, the order of the day.
That's a couple of gifts on the due side from Daniil. Not often you get those. Obviously, he's going to have to adjust mentally to maybe missing more first serve returns from the position that he's taken up this year so far at the Australian Open, but he'll be gutted that he's missed that one. That's bread and butter for him.
We'll take that one as well.
Samrej.
Going nicely in the second set, Samrej, 4-3.
Samrej leads 4 games to 3.
Yeah, he's done well to battle through there. That wasn't actually a pretty game by his standards. He'd played well, I felt, in the previous three. Daniil didn't really have too much of a chance. There was those lovely little slices and drop shots from Samrej, but that game wasn't great, and it wasn't also that great from Daniil. Maybe just getting back in the competitive environment, getting a little tense as he hasn't been able to get the break early on in this second set, just playing a little bit into the Thai player's hands.
Well, very encouraging for his supporters and the young man himself. What an occasion again. We keep reminding ourselves this is his first ever effort in a Grand Slam or any ATP Tour event of any kind, so very much would have been out of his comfort zone, but he's done a terrific job, and Medvedev is having to think about how he's going to go about the rest of this set. So fortunate here to have courts with covers across them, and the bottom right there that we're just passing over, the newest one, Kia Arena, not with a roof over it, but a beautifully sunken court, so great atmosphere, a real sense of intimacy in that court, I think it's fair to say.
Disneyland of tennis, this.
Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? And every year the facilities available to players are becoming greater. There's basically a resting room, a quiet room now, a meditation room, if you will. You name it, it's here. So players are being catered for exceptionally well, and they're enjoying it. We're enjoying this match. Medvedev took the first comfortably, 6-2, but not having things his own way here, trailing 3-4. Well, there's a time to strike against a star. I guess it's in the first round, particularly from Medvedev's perspective. He's been a late arrival, and we've explained why that's the case. So perhaps there's a bit of vulnerability here, giving Samrej best opportunity.
Activity. Fourteen, 10.
Well, that's using all the frame.
Extendable.
Please.
Just pressed a button somewhere. Just got an extra couple of inches that managed to get that back. For all the world, it looked as though it was over his head here.
It came off the very top of the frame. And you're right, it looked like it was gone. It was past him. He's dragged it back from behind him. Great camera work, isn't it? Wonderful. So amongst all that, we're all tied up. Yeah, he's got it, giving a thumbs up to his crew there rather sarcastically, because he's saying, I'm not dealing with this return of serve from up on the baseline. And so there's going to be some words discussed and some communication made and some encouragement perhaps, because it's frustrating him.
30-11.
$13 million. That's the smallest of margins. Yeah, another thumbs up from Medvedev. He's frustrated. I guess, Mark, one of the issues with the forehand is he does have a big take back, and he's struggling to get the racket back and through.
Yeah, it kind of comes up a lot, doesn't he? We see how unorthodox it is, so therefore the strings don't stay on the ball through the hit like Alcaraz's does or Novak's do. So if he is rushed, it kind of amplifies the mishits that we've seen off the return.
Samrej leads
Trailing 5-4 in the second set is Medvedev.
And obviously when you've been so successful, it is very difficult to change that sort of winning habit, and that will be something that will be very much on Gilles Simon and Gilles Savara's kind of shoulders, that they're going to have to kind of nurture him through this period when the frustration against somebody that is very lowly ranked in Medvedev's opinion, and he's not being able to break through. Well, if I played my natural game, I'm breaking in this set, so why am I now struggling to try and implement this thing if the other way would have worked? So that, you know, the yin and the yang when it comes to coaching, when you're trying to make changes with an elite player, is never going to be easy, and it's never going to be straightforward, and it's never going to be first time you hit the jackpot. So those are the guys that are in the hot seat. They're the ones that are going to have to navigate this little turbulent passage and come out the other side.
So some concerns there from Medvedev's coaching group. He's not having a happy time of it with these second serve return positions, it seems, and it's going to be something, as we've suggested, that will be part of the discussion going forward. Meanwhile, Samrej is very pleased with how things are working out in this second set. He's leading 5-4. Can he make any headway here?
Ah, 15-11. Fault. 18-0.
Well, his percentage of success on that drop shot is pretty high at the moment. I didn't think it was a good choice initially, but Medvedev's response wasn't quite good enough.
Yep, simple as that. Wasn't a great drop shot, you're absolutely right. But Medvedev did not execute his own shot particularly well.
Well, opportunity. Knocking. Samrej. 2 set points.
Let first service. Fault. Please.
Well, let's hope this is being beamed into lots of homes in Thailand, because this will be doing wonderful things for Thai tennis. Well, set a piece.
One set off.
Well, he's not a happy camper at the moment with his coaching team, I'd suggest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the coaching boxes, Jeff, where they've got the seats where the Tennis Australia put those heaters that you have in your car, because they're getting a little warm underneath. Daniil with a hugely sarcastic thumbs up, clap all the way to his chair there. And you know it's just solely related around the return position. He's moved meters forward. He's not made much of an impact against somebody that he would expect to roll through and run the table through in 3 straight sets, and he finds himself a set apiece, and that's not going to be a comfortable place for him. So it'll be interesting to see whether he takes matters in his own hands and decides to go back deeper to make sure that, you know, he gets through this one. There is an argument to say, of course, that actually a little bit more match time for him out here on the Rod Laver court, given how little he's played coming into this particularly and how late he came in, may not be the worst thing. He definitely doesn't have that perspective right now.
No, he does not. Let's give this man from Thailand some kudos, though, as well. He's mixed it up nicely. We've seen him have great success with that drop shot. Hasn't overused it, and it's paid some serious dividends. Mentioned a little while ago that the Australian crowds really enjoy an underdog, and this is what we're seeing from Medvedev now. As we've mentioned, he's very unhappy with the group about this new tactic his Mark has enunciated regularly, the tactic of standing up closer on the baseline to return serve. It's not happening for him at the moment. So does he persist? Will he revert to what has worked so well for him? That's part of the joy of this sport, and we are here to witness just what may unfold. Set number 3.
Back in the shadows, and he has taken control of where he wants to return from.
Let us.
Similarly with the second serve return, he's very, very deep. This is shades of the past. Well, this is really impressive from a man who's not been exposed to this level of play or atmosphere, location, ever. And he's doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, and if you're Gilles Simon and Gilles Savara, you're going to say, well, that's what we're trying to counter with your return position, is the ability for players to exploit the angles when you stand that far back.
14-15.
Well, again, the drop shot really was a short angle drop shot, whatever you like to call it. Exquisitely played,
First game,
and it's
third
causing
set.
Medvedev some angst.
Yeah, the drop shot is a very good play against Daniil, of course, because he doesn't have a high spin rate off either shot. It's very hard for him to get it up and down quickly when he comes in. He has to just massage the ball to a large degree or try and sort of return the drop shot with another one. And Samrej is a good enough mover, and he's certainly got enough flexibility in his game that he's able to pick Medvedev off. Medvedev with a couple of very sort of different ball tosses on his serve. I was wondering whether he actually has dropped his ball toss a little bit to try and get a bit more pace with his first serve. I don't think so. It doesn't look as though it's dropping quite as much with his first serve. Looks as though he's hitting it this year completely at this apex when there's a little bit of drop. But if you watch his second serve, he's got two very different ball tosses. One's much lower, which is the kind of slider one that you just saw there. But then there's another one which is a lot higher, which kind of gives you the guide that the kicker's coming. So you can pick that serve off the second from Medvedev. Let's feel a fraction lower.
Yeah, I agree with you, certainly on that serve. It's not something I've picked up, so well done. Medvedev wasn't necessarily interested in the sport of tennis when he was young until he was inspired by Marat Safin's win at the 2005 Australian Open. What a player he was. And he's brought this man into the sport.
14-15. Game, Medvedev.
Yeah, he also, Samrej walked away from the sport, didn't he? His dad obviously played a lot, was a coach, but he dipped out of it at the age of 8, went away for 4 years, didn't hit a tennis ball as far as we're led to believe, but he did play other sports with a ball, football and basketball. Big fan of basketball, doesn't play these days.
Yep, he's catching me often enough, I think Daniil is suggesting. Beautifully struck. Took it early, way inside the baseline, was nice and balanced.
30-15.
Medvedev's going to look for the open racket face now, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I'm not sure if initially set up for the drop shot and then changed his mind, or he purposely tried to fake it. Either way, it didn't work out too well.
Yeah, I think he purposely tried to fake it, but that will be what Medvedev would argue is why he stands deep. That was a quick second serve there, 167. He's not been returning it well. That one, he parried back to the baseline, got himself involved in the exchange, came away with the point.
And that will annoy him. He was
14, that's it.
across and in position, Medvedev. Cracker of the first serve.
Samrej.
Hasn't been broken for some time. 2-1,
Samrej
Samrej.
needs 2 games to 1.
You spoke about the fact of playing other sports. I think there's real value of kids developing, playing other sports, do you not?
Absolutely. I think if you go back and look at everyone's kind of record, there's obviously going to be outliers, but for the most part, most of these players that have played other sports have ultimately become the best sort of players. As we take a look at the kind of 40, I'm always a big fan. You know, again, it's always, there's moderation. It's not always, but watch Daniil slide up here. Actually, Gilles Simon used to do this. Always get there with his outside leg, and then you almost, Jeff, have to push. It's almost hard to, like, just with your hand get enough pace on that with the topspin to, like, rip it. If you can get there where he got to, I almost feel like he should be left foot forward and be super aggressive, not worry about coming back, and actually hit a winner and not worry. That time, obviously, there was enough space, but too often he has to just shovel it back because of his footwork.
Time.
Well, having some discussions, and we'll continue to have some discussions about Medvedev and his ability to deal or otherwise with some of these drop shots. And there's been a suggestion that he's coming in, his right leg pushing forward, and that sort of handicaps him and makes it difficult to hit another shot. So we look for that a little bit more as this match goes on, because certainly Samrej has been getting some excellent results from the drop shot. Medvedev hasn't been able to handle it that well. He will like that.
He has dropped that in a teacup. Wow, what a drop shot. Often talk about trying to get it low to the net, don't you, Jeff? But that one, he got it so high, it came down vertically with the backspin.
Yeah, I'm a fan of height on a drop shot, so you allow the backspin to really bite. Not quite enough shape to get the ball down quickly.
And also just look at Daniil just running to the middle of the court there. You kind of want to track the line of the ball that you've hit and follow it to the net, and then give the last sort of maybe 20% cross court if they make the shot too good. But he gave the lineup. If Samrej looked back at the game film, he should have just taken it back line, because Medvedev's weight was all going to the middle of the court. He would never have been able to lunge to his left.
Yep, Medvedev.
Quick hold there from Medvedev, and Mark Petchy makes
2 games all.
totally valid points. He's looked a little at sea, Medvedev, when coming in.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't taken his volleys right out of the Pat Rafter sort of textbook, but I do think he's willing to push himself into that uncomfortable zone, which is credit to him. But it's more about where he stands to defend the net. That is poor technique. Samrej is liking the visual of Daniil being deeper, to be honest. He's serving great out wide. He's looking comfortable. He's not trying to overserve. That's good to see the commentators' curses alive and well on day 3.
Well, interesting. He'll need to be a bit careful, I think, Samrej. He shaped up to hit a drop shot purposely and then shoved it deeper. Got away with it. But sometimes you're better off to just clock it for a winner.
$14-15. That's it.
Oh, I like the idea, though.
Yes.
Just didn't open the racket face quite enough on the volley. Hands are also just a little stiff. He was trying to take pace off the ball. Need to soften the hands, open the face a little.
Textbook tennis against Daniil. Big serve out wide, lock him out, make him forced to drop the anchor to tracking it down, and then you got space. Not easy to execute at deuce at 2-all in the third. Impressive.
Wow. Very impressive, and brought some applause from his opponent. So, on serve we go. 3-2. Samrej.
Samrej leads 3 games to 2.
Guy's got some feel, Jeff.
He has indeed. Wow, impressive. He was quite deep in the court when he hit that shot as well.
Yep. So was Daniil, and he may have to adjust his position off a ball like that rather than kind of staying where he is at the moment. He's waiting for them. He's waiting for Samrej to miss. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, he's behind the baseline, and Daniil barely moved for it. That's how much deception was attached to that. Sets 1 and 2.
Yep.
This is where Medvedev has averaged the return, and he has gone back. He's looking for a solution to the problem that he's facing. That hasn't unlocked the door or the code yet.
Time.
The crowd in, as you would imagine, and plenty outside around the grounds. I would imagine that initially folks in here would have expected this to be pretty much one-way traffic for Medvedev. Spectators here that come to the tennis are very well researched, very knowledgeable. And it's not been one-way traffic at all. And Kasidit Samrej has been giving a great account of himself.
15-11.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We said it was going to be a set apiece and that Medvedev would probably get it done in 4, didn't we, Jeff?
I recall that, yes. Did we write it down? Perhaps others might question us.
My memory's not what it used to be.
Okay, let's go with that. I think it's in Daniil's DNA that when that shot's being used against him, he will want to show, well, I can do that too. That's not unusual for we players or former players. We've all got a little bit of arrogance, I think.
The drop shot's like the pawn in chess, you know, because it doesn't seem that significant, but what it does do, it forces you to move in a certain area to defend it, and that's where it's effective. Even if you miss it a few times, it's effective in pulling your opponent closer to the baseline, as Daniil seals that game with an ace. And that's why I think it's important for somebody like Medvedev to use it, because he isn't the biggest hitter, but he's a flat, long hitter through the court. A lot of his shots will go into the last third of the court and stay low. And if he uses the drop shot, you have to cover it. So therefore, you have to maybe move half a meter closer to the baseline, which makes his depth on the shot more effective.
Get the feeling that Medvedev is really going to look to lock down here. He's going to give his opponent nothing. It's the business end of this third set, and it's a critical stage. He's wanting to emotionally, I think, and mentally just wear his opponent down in this game.
Love 30.
Yeah. High percentage, no risk, just waiting There's some small opportunity before he pulls the triggers, so...
Yeah, the forehand prior to that was the shot that lost him the point, not the winner from Medvedev. The backhand down the line from Medvedev forced Samrej to go cross-court with his forehand, but he put nothing on it. Medvedev took full advantage.
Break points, 3 of them.
He's shadowing hitting it, but he actually had a Conti grip here to try and just scoop it over. But then he decided, look, you could see he was trying to find his grip second time around when he realized he was going to get there to be able to drive it.
My goodness. Going to the well on a regular basis.
30-14.
Doesn't often, sorry Jeff, he doesn't often go cross court with the drop shot as a reply. He goes short. It's difficult to feather it. I'd like to see him occasionally just go cross court with the reply to the drop shot Medvedev.
Oh, outstanding from love 40. Under extreme pressure, he came up with a ripper.
Yes.
This was a textbook backhand volley.
Advantage Samrej.
A little frustration building in Medvedev. Again, another little glance at the coaching box and the thumbs up. Well, that's an exceptionally good comeback from Samrej.
New balls, please.
4-3 he leads at a set all.
Samrej leads 4 games to 3.
Well, there's some brave play from Samrej there. The drop shot looked exquisite, but it's tough, Mark, when you're under stress and hanging onto the grip a little tighter to get that sort of feel. But feel he did indeed get.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And to be able to produce it under pressure is a real testament to his character and his skill level and everything else. But it's also the percentage play against Daniil when he's trying to counter your serve from that far behind the baseline, because if you allow him to establish a good position after his second or third shot of the rally, suddenly you're back at neutral, and we know how Daniil is so good at being able to outlast you. So from a strategic point of view, it makes perfect sense.
Time.
We've just passed over the rugby league and soccer grounds. We're at the training centre now of the AFL team, Collingwood Football Club, right there, which is very, very close, as you can see, to the tennis centre there on the top of your screen. And we haven't even seen the MCG, which is also in this precinct. So it is a magnificent sporting precinct, which again shines because of its close proximity to the city. Of course, you can take a trip down the river and access these facilities by boat if you choose. It's all right. Probably got a boat at home somewhere, Mark, have you?
That's more of a yacht, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I mean, sort of
more of a
yacht,
galleon.
Well, yeah, yacht liner. Yeah, it's somewhere in between the two, a bit of a hybrid.
I'm looking forward for an invitation. Well, he can't afford to blink here, Medvedev. Let's get into the teeth of this. It's a set all and 4-3 to the tie.
89. Let for 6.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? We've spoken at length about his court positioning, and he just seems a little out of sorts and between one tactic and another at the moment, and it's having an effect on the rest of his game, Medvedev. And a couple of unforced errors opening the door for Samrej.
Oh. 30-14.
Another break point opportunity for a 5-3 lead. Well, a ball game there from Medvedev. Errors from the back of the court, a double fault on break point, and the crowd very invested in this performance from Samrej. He's about to serve for a 2-1 lead.
Next to Gilles Simon, Eric Hernandez, the fitness coach, will be hoping that his work has been done well, because this has the potential to be a long encounter.
No. Way too deep.
He's been fighting for survival for the whole match and staying competitive. Suddenly, for the very first time, the pendulum swings, doesn't it? He's got something to lose.
And again, just absorb the fact that this man serving for a 2-1 lead has never played at ATP Tour level, and certainly never played at Grand Slam level, main draw. An excellent second serve.
30-15.
That's kind of a wild stat there, isn't it? That's over 20 years ago that the last defending runner-up who lost in the opening round, René Schuttler. We're starting to have to search back. When was the last time a top 5 player lost to somebody ranked this low? Will be the next one. Long way to go, but things getting a little dicey for Medvedev.
Well, I think that response says it all about Medvedev's state of mind at the moment.
14.
Interesting to hear the response from the chair.
Well, that's the camera that he's aiming at, and he's going to get a warning for sure. But anyone that's played this game to any level understands the frustration that this man's feeling right now.
So the crowd
Players are ready. Thank you.
letting Medvedev know what they think is this man has a set point. Well, there's a real buzz around this Rod Laver Arena because there's still one more set point for Samrej.
Let. Second service.
It is no more.
Well, the forehand prior to that was an opportunity. It was a little short from Medvedev, and the hope for his supporters would have been that Samrej stepped up and took it on. He didn't, so there's some understandable tension. No.
Advantage.
Just too
Medvedev.
deep in the court at the moment, Samrej, to succeed with those drop shots. Break back point.
Yes.
Just giving Samrej what he wants. I mean, he ran round his forehand from there to hit a backhand to take himself even further out of position. I mean, I know he's angry and frustrated, but that is not thinking clearly at all.
Yeah, strategic mistake giving Samrej his third set point. Now, well, this is where the lack of experience at this level, understandably, is coming to the fore. A very, very poor choice there from the Thai. Point number 4, and a serve volley here would be a pretty wise tactic, I'd suggest. He's done it.
Samrej. 6-3.
Well, amazing scenes here in Rod Laver Arena. The man from Thailand, ranked 480 in the world, leads Medvedev 2-1.
Through the soft, forgiving lens of nostalgia, and you'll excuse the pun of lens, you'll forgive him because he's going to be paying for that camera. There's no doubt about that, and he'll be happy to put his hand in his pocket if he wins this match. But he has been loitering on the edge really since the end of the second set, when he was disappointed he couldn't find a way to break, and that was the outpouring of frustration. And we won't be bringing you any more net shots, unfortunately. Oh, actually, we will be, because it looks as though ground staff are out on the court. We're looking at that. You're looking at the replay. That's what it ended up looking like. And I believe that a replacement is being attached right now. That will not be replaced. That is consigned, I think, to the back of his chair for the time being. Jeff, what is going on?
Yeah, well, we've got a young man who's playing exceptionally well, considering this is just new territory for him. And Medvedev, who's a little out of sorts, he's uncertain about where his court position should be, and that's making him discombobulated, if you will. He's just not comfortable, and it's a long road back from here. Well, more repairs being made to this net that took an absolute pounding from an angry and animated Daniil Medvedev. And this was the result. Around 8 swings at that net. The camera is no longer. And I think he, as well, Mark, would have expected a much easier path through this first round than he's getting, and I think we just need to keep giving plaudits to this man who it's just so foreign to be in this environment, and he's just handled himself so well. Yeah,
it's just wild, isn't it? Samir Banerjee from the US, who beat Samrej, is at Stanford. You know, I don't know what they're doing at Stanford. Bashavaredi, Nishesh, with a great performance against Novak last night, over 4 sets, of course. And Samir getting the better of Samrej in Singapore in September last year is at Stanford at the US college system. It's strong in the college system, but it is just remarkable that he can turn this around, that sort of loss against somebody who's ranked 800 in the world, and be this competitive, and also probably even more so the way that he's doing it, because he's dictating play. He's dictating it through the drop shot. He closes it out with a monster forehand. And Medvedev has actually been so unimpactful, it's been incredible.
I think there were good signs when he said, and I quote, "From my side, I think it's a good draw. If you're going to play a Grand Slam, play a big-name player." So he came out with the right attitude. And these drop shots that we're seeing here on replay have been exquisite. And Medvedev has not handled them well, except on the very rare occasions. His trips to the net when he's been required to volley. He showed great skill at the net. And Medvedev, by comparison, as Mark in particular has mentioned, he's just not positioning himself well when he comes forward. And that was the set point. And that's as much emotion as we've seen from him in this match. And why shouldn't he show that sort of emotion? This is an incredible performance for him thus far.
Paradon Shishpan, if he's listening or watching at home, is going to be absolutely thrilled. He was the man that kind of touched base with Novak ahead of that sort of practice 10 days that they had in Phuket in December, and just how pivotal that has probably proved to be in terms of the performance that we're seeing. There's a Djokovic assist coming up here at the moment in terms of the performance that we're seeing, and it's just rare for a player that's 400 in the world to be able to get on court with the greatest player of his generation and be able to sort of tap into that knowledge, that advice, that help. And I mean, you just can't put a price on it. I mean, it's just absolutely astonishing what we're watching, and it's a collection of brilliance, but it's also a collection of chaos, because he's throwing in these drop shots, he's faking him with the kind of drop shot, then the slice long, and Medvedev just doesn't really have a counter for it at the moment. He still feel as though, even at 2 sets to 1 down, that Medvedev will figure it out, and everything that Samrej has to lose in terms of such a big win and getting through to the second round of a major will start ticker-taping through his thoughts as he gets closer to that finishing line. But for the time being, let's celebrate a performance by somebody that has come out here and just relished the opportunity, and not all do.
Well, career prize money, as we mentioned at the outset, $60,000 for Kasidit Samrej, and if he wins this match, $200,000, and lots of improvement in the rankings. So there's so much now on the line and an option for him, and sometimes that can make you go back into your shell a little bit, as Mark has already let you know.
And it is a much flatter tour now because of the majors, because of the money that they put on the line for these first and second rounds. There is more money coming down the pipeline to these players, even through qualies, and it is evening the playing field out. We've chatted about it a bit, Jeff. You know, a huge number of 5-set matches here last year, 35, I believe, off the top of my head. I haven't got the number. I have got the numbers. They're not right. 37 at Wimbledon last year on the grass, and I just get the sense that we're starting to see the money that started coming into these majors sort of 10 years ago starting to flatten the tour in terms of the advice these players are getting, the help they're getting, the data they're getting in terms of improving their games to a substantial degree, and it's great. It's great that we are getting competitive matches. We obviously swapped from 16 seeds to 32 at the majors for all the right reasons, trying to get the marquee players through, but it did make the first week a little bit of a little dead in some respects, because the matches were relatively lopsided. But in recent times that has changed out of sight, and we're the beneficiaries of these great contests that are seeing great players having to figure out players that they've never really seen before.
And I've seen that. I think that's been reflected as well in the spectator numbers that have been coming to these Grand Slams. The viewership, certainly for the men's game, has increased. So that's backing up everything that you've outlined there, Mark. And meanwhile, players are just about to take their place back on Rod Laver Arena. The crowd, as you heard at the end of the third set, the roar that came. Many of them have gone out to stretch their legs, have a drink and come back, because I think they'll be expecting that Medvedev is going to come back. And they may be in for a 5-setter, but he's going to have to lift his game.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because some players are kind of motivated by compulsion about what to hit, but Daniil, very much a thinking man's player. He judges things, he plays with discipline, he doesn't take it right through you, so he's actually going to have to hope for a little bit of a drop-off down the other end.
Fourth set.
All right, good to go here. The fourth set begins.
Final. Begin. Well,
he's had time to regroup and calm himself, Medvedev. He knows how important it is to get away to a good start here.
That's it.
Nice. The slice was well hit, and Medvedev getting underneath the ball.
First game, fourth set.
Using more spin to achieve some exquisite angle. So opening game, fourth set.
Okay, just trying to dig out Andrew Eichenholz from the ATP. Big thanks to him. He does some unbelievable work with our interviews and getting to know some of these players that are a little bit more unknown on the ATP tour. The tours at times take a little bit of a hit, but Andrew doing an unreal job in the last couple of years in terms of getting these numbers out there. But he's just come through with probably the number that we're looking for. Alex Kim from the US beat Yevgeny Kafelnikov here in the second round in 2002. Yevgeny was ranked 4 in the world there. Alex Kim 234. So the last time sort of a seismic shock like this happened was back in 2002. It's not even as big a shock as this.
This is a player ranked 400, not the 200s.
Yep.
Lovely team.
And you've got to expect a little bit of a flat spot at some stage from Samrej. He's been playing so beautifully for over an hour now. It's not easy to sustain that.
Very deep in the court, and that ball getting really what it deserved. This will be as much of a mental test, I think, as well as a physical one for Samrej. I'm certain he's never played a 5-set match. He's never been in a tournament where that would ever have been required.
That's it.
Just one drop shot too many, perhaps.
Yes.
Certainly in this rally.
Anyhow will do. And I'm not sure if he hit that one because he thought it was the right play or out of necessity. He's walking a little slower. This is the first time, as you say, Jeff, that he has gone into this territory, a 4th set. Come on. He's hitting drop shots like his favorite basketball player hits 3-pointers, Steph Curry.
Well, certainly his touch has been exquisite, and topspin lob here to finish the point, just brushing up the back of the ball. And Medvedev, again, he tends to get very, very tight to the net. He's a tall man, but when you're that tight to the net, you will always be vulnerable.
I mean, it is world class. And we're just digging around for sort of like anything that can make sense of this in terms of rankings and players getting beaten. I mean, the only one that's coming close, but it's not really even relevant, because Pat Cash in '85 was in the world's top 10, then got the back issue that kept him out for over 6 months, got a wildie into Wimbledon, ranked 413, beat Mats Wilander, who was 2 in the world. But Cash had already been there. Running riot.
Well, Medvedev is merely a participant at the moment. It's Samrej who's dictating play. That return of serve was taken so early.
Is in touch.
Oh, this is the Medvedev we've seen before. Big serve. Just getting himself out of some sticky situations. And going for a little too much, so a little desperation, because it seems as if that's the only way at the moment that he's winning points, is off the serve. Samrej is having the better of the rallies, so break point early on for Samrej.
Yes.
Oh, some outstanding service then from Medvedev, and he needed it.
Medvedev
Break points have come and gone. 2-1. Plenty happening outside, as you can see. Plenty to do if you come out. If you're not even into tennis that much, you can have a great day out.
That's your other role here, isn't it, Jeff?
Well, you're on to me. You've got to supplement your income
I was
somehow.
looking for you yesterday for 3 or 4 hours. Now I know where you were.
Well, that's you by my side.
It's a bit like my life. Whichever way you turn, there's a bill.
Very good. Lots of shade available as well for all spectators who come out here.
Time.
Well, the shade just starting to encroach upon this Rod Laver Arena. seen something very special so far, something we really didn't expect. First round of the 2025 men's singles, throwing up so much. So 1-2.
Lovely.
Val Fibo, who works with us alongside us at this World Feed, has just sent through a stat, of course, that Dennis Isterman also qualified for the Australian Open back in 2017 via the Asia Pacific wildcard playoff and had that big win over Novak Djokovic that particular year.
Just the footwork the last game and a half has become a little ragged. And you can see the court coverage that has been taking place out here. Medvedev doing more work.
Let. First service.
Well, a lack of strategy is the leading thief of success for a lot of players against top players, because you're just not sure how to hurt them. Not today for Samrej. The perfect strategy, but always downstream from that is the technical ability to be able to keep producing it, and he has done so, which is the most remarkable thing. And how much of this, Jeff, do we attribute to the coaching box? We won't know during the match because we don't have a mic, we can't interview. But asking his coach if he told him to start implementing the drop shot more in the second and third sets, because we saw precious few of them in the opener.
Well, however the decision was made, it's been effective. Medvedev, opportunity here to break. Oh, I think he's made that.
He has kept his powder dry for the big moments magnificently.
Yes.
33rd winner, lasered onto the line.
Advantage, Medvedev.
Medvedev asking the crowd for a little support. Bit of a mixed bag there.
Medvedev leads 3-2.
So he's got the break. And I think just a sign or two from Samrej that he is getting a little weary. He's had a word to the chair, has Samrej, and we think he's asked for the trainer. We'll see. Chair was on the phone a point or so ago.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
13-11.
Not so much that he's melting in the Melbourne sun. He trains in a lot hotter conditions than this, but it's just the physical work that he's had to do to put himself in this position. And Medvedev, one of those players that will take your legs.
And rest assured that Medvedev is paying full attention. He'll be very much aware of what's going on. And that will be giving him some solace. So just one break, but it looks a mighty handy lead in this fourth set for Medvedev, 4-1. The trainer appears.
Got some pickle juice coming with the doctor.
Is this a treatment? Change over treatment. Change over treatment. Okay.
So he's getting tight. Some pickle juice coming. It's just a changeover treatment. It's pickle juice that he's gargling, clearly beginning to cramp his communication with the trainers.
Yeah, it's interesting. They say that it's actually the nervous system that causes cramps. It's your alpha motor neurons that are nerves located in the brainstem and spinal cord that actually create cramps. It's not actually you running out of kind of like electrolytes, and actually the noxious tasting pickle juice or any substance like it is something that kind of actually just it bluffs your brain that actually you're getting these cramps. It's weird because pickle juice, whatever benefit it would have, would take at least 30 minutes to work to get the cramps better for whatever electrolytes it has in it, but it's actually the taste that hopefully stops it for him. But that's clearly what he's suffering from. That's the science anyway.
And understandably, the tactic for Medvedev will be quite clear.
Saw him actually gargling the pickle juice, because it actually says that you don't need to swallow the pickle juice to actually activate that sort of response to decrease those motor neurons. So he's clearly been here before. Not the last time we'll see that shot. It's been a work of art.
Well, you will have to surmise that Samrej will be trying to finish the points a little bit more quickly, and of course that brings with it much greater risk.
Attention. Touch it. Yes.
It's a little bit of an error fest at the moment.
Advantage, Medvedev.
Well, he's shown us plenty today, but one without doubt that is impressive is the hands, the softest of the hands, the feel that he possesses, this little half-volley drop shot.
Toying with it. You see where I say about Daniil, he always goes back straight. Sure, if he's going to hit the drop shot on the redrop, and I just kind of feel like you can go fast cross court from there, short angle. It's so tough to feather that tight to the net from there. It's so easy to underhit it.
Let. First service.
Well, it looked 99% out, but it's clearly taken a very small portion of the back line.
Such a unique prototype, isn't he? Bad returns is usually standard issue for big servers, but not for Daniil.
Advantage, Medvedev.
Yeah, and Medvedev taking advantage of some wayward shots now from Samrej as the fatigue is setting in. It wasn't that long ago, 1-1 in this set. He had break point to go 2-1 ahead, Samrej, but it just shows you how important the physicality of this sport is. You're slowing down a little. Can't get to the ball the way you'd like to. Errors flow. Medvedev serving now to tie this up at 2 sets apiece.
Love. Love. 40 love. Game and 4 sets.
Rushes
Medvedev.
through this 4th set, does Medvedev 6-1.
Games to 1.
A 5th set
2 sets all.
coming
New
our
balls,
way.
please.
Is Samrej done? We'll see.
Second shot.
So as Medvedev sits, Samrej is continuing to be treated. As we have a look, Mark,
Change
at
of
these
ends only.
stats from set number 4.
Yeah, it's more like the first set for Daniil behind his first serve, not dropping a point. That was pretty much how it was in the opening set. But what I think is more probably problematic for Samrej is that he can't stay in any of the longer rallies to a large degree. And when you can't stay in any of them against Medvedev, it's very difficult to keep coming up with the wizardry that we've seen. He's going to have to hope that his body kind of gives him a little bit of a reprieve. We saw a little bit of that yesterday because of Reddy's cramp that came on after 90 minutes against Novak. Stayed around for a couple of games. Wasn't ideal, obviously, for him. Novak took charge. It sort of went away. So there is hope for the Thai star that he can potentially get a little bit better. But if you can't stay in any of these rallies, you just cannot come up with a kaleidoscope of shots that's going to get past Medvedev. He is too solid, too good, and right now too determined. He senses the physical weakness and he's going to exploit it to the full.
Time.
It's a little bit of a lull over Rod Laver Arena at the moment as they see their improbable Thai player here just struggle physically. He's getting some treatment still.
Yeah, I just hope the crowd go on Daniil's side. You remember that speech after the loss to Rafa in the final in Melbourne? The kid stopped dreaming. That was a hard one to listen to, about just wanting to play for his family and his kids because he felt the crowd was so overwhelmingly against him. I love Daniil. I love everything that he's done for the game. Just a little bit of frustration shouldn't tarnish that in this match today. Great ball of Daniil.
Love 15.
Yeah, and you know, the groans coming out again are his way of projecting an image. I'm resilient, I'm tough, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. And it's all part of what he brings to the table. As Mark suggested, he brings great skill, great character. And you never know really exactly what you're going to get from the man. Except he will compete.
That's it.
Well, that was an edgy backhand from Medvedev.
That's all.
You get the feeling he's just trying not to miss. That's it. And sometimes
Thank you.
if you do that, your racket head decelerates. You lose a little bit of control. Well, surely from Samrej's point of view, he just needs something that will give him a little extra encouragement. And winning the first game will be just that sort of catalyst. If you're ahead at any stage, it just pushes you on. Give a little more. Medvedev, that's why he's fighting very hard for this first game.
Much more proactive with that shot. Much more familiar with these situations than his opponent. This is fourth straight five-setter at Melbourne Park, of course.
Opening game of this fifth set.
First game, final set.
And he knows that his man is suffering. and he feels a lot better than he was maybe 35 or so minutes ago when he was trailing 2-1.
Gerard, Daniil is trying to get to the attention of his team. There we go. He's asking for the ball kid to bring the drink over at ATP. Thanks. Just looking at the turn of the century, some of the biggest rankings differential defeats for players. Rafa, of course, who was 2 in the world back in Stockholm, lost to the massive serving Joachim Johansson in 2006. And just up the road, or down the road, or where is Sydney from here? Jeff, you'll tell me. Chris Guccione, big lefty.
Up the road.
Up the road. I thought I was right first time. Beat Juan Carlos Ferreira in 2004. Chris was 447 in the world, and Juan Carlos was 4. These are not normal results, and obviously the best of 5 helping Medvedev today.
Halt. Halt. 50 on.
Got the luxury here, really. Daniil, he's getting a lot of space down the tee, but if he wants to just pull his man wide and get him running, that's the smart play. It's also, more often than not, the safer serve with a little bit more control.
Halt. Change 15.
Well, as Mark suggested, the wide serve to the forehand is going to do some damage. He'll reach out, stretch, and then there's a long way to recover, which when you're suffering is the last thing you want to consider. So it's all Medvedev at the moment from 1-1 in the 4th set. Samrej hit to trouble the scorer.
Love 15. On. $30-15.
Well, I think if he can get a game here, Samrej, crowd will give him some serious encouragement. They've been right behind him initially as the underdog.
Let for service.
But since then, for what he's brought to this match,
7-2.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to obviously keep the point shorter. One way he could do that is potentially serving and volleying. We've seen it a few times today.
Game. Samrej. Medvedev leads 2-1.
There is the response we were expecting. They're trying to get their man to just give a little bit more, trailing a break in the 5th. So after that second set that he lost and was sarcastically giving directions to his box, he has changed his return position and he's stuck with it, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's gone back to his natural DNA, and you can't understand it. This is a match that he just needs to win now. He doesn't need to play his best tennis, and he certainly hasn't played his best tennis, but he needs to win it. Otherwise, his Melbourne hopes and aspirations are done. So I don't think he's done anything wrong there. It'll be interesting to have a chat with his coaches. It would be lovely if tennis made it a thing where you had to, as a coach, go and talk about your player's performance afterwards to get a little bit of an insight about why you know, they changed or he changed. But I would imagine if you were Gilles Savara, Gilles Simon, you wouldn't mind. You just need him to win at this stage. It's not about the level of performance.
Daniil Medvedev looking to fight another day. And that's all in his thoughts at the moment as he serves with 2-1 and a break. Standing up closer to return serve Samrej at the moment. I think it's a good tactic on the second serve. Gets a better opportunity to take a crack at the return, shorten the points, but a chance of success that way.
30-11. Let. First service.
Before that serve there had won 91% of points in this match when the first serve's gone in. That's extraordinary.
Game, Medvedev.
So untroubled, 3-1.
Medvedev leads 3-2. Love 15.
Yeah, his sort of aggressive defense here is going to get him across the finishing line. Medvedev is going to just take whatever is left in Samrej's legs.
13-10.
Overcomplicating it in his mind, really.
14-10.
Well, keeping
Samrej.
just in touch in his 5th set, Samrej. That can make things interesting. Trailing 2-3.
Medvedev leads 3 games to 2.
You know, you'd really think Medvedev needs to push and grab this match by the throat rather than let it just linger. And 3-2, he's in touch and he's capable of hurting him with anything short. So the opportunities still exist.
Yeah, he hasn't taken away all of this man's belief by giving him those couple of games. And just maybe he doesn't feel as assured as we kind of feel he should be at this stage. He has leaked a couple of sort of routine backhands long, so obviously that's playing on his mind. He doesn't usually miss those shots, so he's not feeling quite as confident in these conditions as we would expect him to be. So that's probably why he threw in the unexpected drop shot at that particular stage.
Time.
Well, it's been a truly fascinating contest here on Rod Laver Arena. Medvedev, we would have thought, been in the locker room and home by now, but hasn't been the case. Samrej has just been a revelation. Led 2-1. Subsequently suffered some cramps. And the match seemed to be getting away from him, but hasn't quite yet. Medvedev 3-2, final set.
Birkinen. Thirteen.
22 aces for the match. It's impressive.
Yeah, 4th highest total of his career.
Love.
Three hours on court.
Game. Medvedev.
So a quick service game is certainly what Medvedev is looking for, and you'd imagine looking for
Medvedev leads
another
4
break
games
here,
to 2.
just to take the spirit completely away from Samrej.
Yeah, it's tough when you don't have the foot speed to really
Lovely
alter the
team.
terms of engagement in those rallies with Medvedev.
Final.
Still feel like the way that he sets up at the hit point forces him to over-pronate with his hand. That serve out wide, as good as that one was, isn't. As consistently good as it needs to be, which is when he gets back in the trenches, which will be very soon, he's going to need to get some free points. We've seen his top end today, but down in the trenches, you're going to have to win matches when you're not this good. And that slice forehand does alter the terms of engagement for Daniil. Doesn't love it down there around his ankles.
Let. First service.
Just that missed shot from Medvedev showing that he's still
14-13.
far from his best. The cross-court option was there, but this next shot of Medvedev's lands almost in the bottom of the net, so far from his best.
The problem when you're kind of just physically a little at the end of what you have, because you wait for the ball to come to you, and he just waited. And with Daniil's shots that die because they're not particularly powerful and low, you end up having a very tricky ball. Couldn't move on the diagonal into that forehand from Medvedev.
There's certainly nothing wrong with Medvedev's mobility, covering plenty of ground very quickly. It's an opportunity for a double break here, which would surely, you'd imagine, seal this contest. Well, he will have enjoyed that. The drop shot back that has troubled him so much, and Medvedev with a double break. 5-2 in the fifth set.
Medvedev leads 5 games to 2.
I just love him. I love him. He is so authentic. He is so genuine, where so many people in this world are so surface. They're so worried about what people think about them, and he doesn't care. I am not entirely sure who that was directed to or what it meant, but that is what Daniil is at the end of the day. Look at this. Drops the dropper and then drops somebody sitting behind him. Bang! Thank you very much.
Well, somebody's probably been giving him a bit of a tough time, I suspect, and he says, revenge is sweet.
Time.
Well, everybody out here on Rod Laver Arena has had a lot of fun with this match. We've seen Samrej, an unknown by everybody here, give a wonderful account of himself, but it looks as if it's about to come to an end. Medvedev serving for the match, 5-2.
15-11.
And the serve has really stood up in the last 30 minutes or so for sure. 22 aces as opposed to 4 from the racket of his opponent.
Hasn't lost a point on his serve in the last 2 sets. Neither did he in the opening set. That's the 23rd ace. I should be correct. That is now his 5th best in terms of quantity of aces in his career. Best ever coming against Kyrgios, where he served 31 back in the Australian in 2022.
14-11.
Well, he wants to get that number up a little higher, apparently. Cracking serve down the tee. Match points, 3 of them. Medvedev finishes with a flourish.
3 sets to 2.
It took some time, but he solved the
6-2,
problem.
4-6, 3-6, 6-1.
And this man Samrej. 6-2 in the final set.
And then we go on another remarkable 5-set match here on Rod Laver Arena. Daniil Medvedev wins the second match.
Well, he came home strongly, didn't he, Mark? And that's why he's been one of the greats. He's obviously physically still in good shape. He won running away, basically.
He did. There was a sense, wasn't there, obviously midway through the 4th set, that Samrej was going to struggle to outlast this man. He's a man that can extend the rallies so superbly when you're serving, and he can just roll through service games when he's serving. He is, as I say, a very unique prototype type of player, Medvedev, and that is why he was able to break the stranglehold on the majors when the Big Four were obviously dominating the landscape, and we saw that come to fruition today as the match went longer. But credit to this man, what a performance from him to walk out on one of the biggest arenas that we have in tennis and to produce the kind of tennis, to alter the terms of engagement with the drop shot, to execute it to perfection. Speaks a lot about his potential future. Let's hope he can take from this experience so much and pick up the wins that he needs to push his ranking towards the top 100. It is going to be a slower progression than it has been for somebody like Daniil Medvedev, but we hope we welcome him back here at the Australian Open soon.
Indeed, Kasidit Samrej was a revelation. Gave us great value out here on Rod Laver Arena, and let's hope when we see him next time, his ranking will be at a level that he will gain direct acceptance rather than through the Asia Pacific wildcard scenario, which is just how he got to this stage today. Just summing up, Mark, the court position of Medvedev, the lower toss, there seem to be the 2 areas that off-season has been the work in progress. Is it still a work in progress, or is it going to arrive?
No, I think it's a work in progress. I think you've got to look to try and do a few different things. You know, we'll dig into it a little bit more. That's what it feels like, that he's dropped the ball toss a little bit. There's definitely a read a little bit on the second serve. But listen, today, ultimately, Jeff, you've been there. You need to get the win. Somehow you've got to get the win. He got the win, and he is going to chat right now.
Well, Daniil, we always get our money's worth with you. Last year it was 5 setters here at Rod Laver Arena. Today, another one to kick off your 2025 tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I play better when I play more tennis. So I was like, why play 1 hour 30? Need to minimum 3 hours at least to feel my shots better, to have a good sensation. No, but really speaking, I mean, second and third set, I couldn't touch the ball. I mean, full power, everything in. I didn't know what to do.
These kids coming through, they're match ready, aren't they, from the start?
I mean, not every match, because I watched his matches and I didn't see this level, so I was surprised. But yeah, I mean, he plays like this every match. His life can be good. Money, girls, casino, whatever. If he plays like this every match, if he doesn't, then he's not going to have it. Maybe not in tennis. He's going to make it otherwise. But yeah, I wish he can play like this every match.
I'm sure you don't want him to play like this every match if you're facing him.
Well, if I'm facing him, no, but I don't want him, you know, it happened to me a long time ago. I won Tokyo and I played the one Chinese wildcard, Zhejiang, so I didn't know what to expect. And I played an unbelievable match to save like match points and to win it. And he was serving 230, so it was pretty big serve. And then the next week, he's playing some challenger and losing 2-2. And I broke him once in 3 sets. And yeah, you need to be consistent to make it in tennis, and I wish him this.
Your preparation for this Australian Open, absolutely. Your preparation, probably not ideal, a new baby at home and no sort of lead-up tournaments in the last couple of months?
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the press conference. I'm probably never going to play a lead-up tournament unless they move it, because I have, you know, 2 kids now. I want to stay at home for the New Year and Christmas, and even if I love Australia, every New Year in Australia starting to get tough. So I like to come here a little bit later. But no, it only gives me good energy. And today, you know, in the end of last year, this match, I probably would have lost it because I wouldn't be able to concentrate and fight till then. Now it's at least a new year, new energy, at least for now, hopefully for all this season. So I'm happy to win this match.
We're happy that you've won it as well. Congratulations. Daniil Medvedev through to the second round, the 2025 Australian Open.
Well, Mark Petchey said he's very honest, and he was everything in that vein right there and then, said exactly what he thought about his opponent and where he might be, etc., etc. And he's polarizing.
Can you not just love him? I mean, you gotta love him. Let's celebrate authenticity. Let's celebrate somebody that's unfiltered when they come up to the microphone and just say it as it is. We should embolden all the players to be like Daniil, to be honest. He wasn't wrong in terms of what he was saying there. That was some performance. The question is, can you go away and produce it when the cameras aren't on you in some far-flung country? And that's going to be the question mark for Samrej. For Medvedev, we know what he's capable of. He's capable of winning these massive tournaments. He's done it once before. He's had heartbreak 5 times in the finals. But that is the roll of the credits. It was an amazing, amazing match that came out of nowhere.
Well, as Mark Petchey mentioned, it's all about just getting the job done, and indeed he did. Lost the third set, was down 2-1. He was down break points early in the fourth, but champions find a way, and he found a way today. So Daniil Medvedev solves the problem, goes through. He did it in 5 sets. That's all from us here on Rod Laver Arena.
Nice going. Hey, go hard.
I give the...
And what's the question? AO or John? AO.